Welcome to the Financial Flow. Please like and subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to stay up on our latest videos. Whatever your method of getting rich, you now find yourself staring at a bank account bulging with millions of dollars when you open it up. You might have bought a GameStop for $5 or a Bitcoin for $1,000, or even did it the old-fashioned way and won the lottery. Congratulations! Now that capitalism is yours, what do you do with it? Maintaining a steady stream of income is more difficult than generating it, which is something many people underestimate. So instead of risking your newfound fortune by gambling it away, learn how to manage your money instead and avoid being declared bankrupt by more than 1,000%. Sudden Richest syndrome, which is a term coined by psychologists for those who suddenly come into a large amount of money, is a major mental health issue, even for those who think that this is the best mental health issue to have. American psychologist Dr. Stephen Goldbart claims that the symptoms of this ailment include social isolation, paranoia, and guilt over a perceived lack of money generated. While this study was focused on lottery winners, the same impacts may be seen on anyone who suddenly gains a lot of money, regardless of whether they earned it or not. Successful entrepreneurs who sell their businesses can also fall into the same mental trap and suffer the same repercussions as lottery winners. As you can see, the three biggest dangers to your wealth are gambling, being sued, and conspicuous consumption, ranked from the most to least harmful. However, gambling is the biggest threat to overnight fortunes, which may seem silly to onlookers because, after all, you just made a crazy sum of cash, so what's the point of trying to make more in such a silly way? However, this odd pastime of overnight millionaires is partially due to selection bias. Just think about it. Risk takers are more likely to make tens of millions of dollars in a short period of time. This risk could be anything from buying a reckless number of lottery tickets to investing your entire net worth in a failing company, or simply choosing to start a business in an emerging field rather than becoming a good little employee with a stable salary and health insurance. The only issue with gambling in this context is that the stakes are virtually endless. You'd be astonished at how difficult it is to spend the kind of money at stake. Think about what you do with $100 million if you only had 24 hours to spend it. There is a lengthy transaction process, and they tend to preserve their worth if you spend your $100 million on a home. You're not broke. You've just transferred your assets from cash to real estate. The $100 million will be gone in a weekend if you go to Las Vegas and play hard. Caesars has the city's highest limit blackjack table with a cap of $500,000 per hand. Assuming ideal basic strategy over the course of a day and a dealer who deals 50 hands an hour, you may expect to lose $1 million every 60 minutes. Even though it's possible to make a lot of money playing this game, you could also lose a lot more than the perfect little statistical assumption suggests. Since you've earned your money via hard work and good fortune, there is no reason to risk it by gambling it away. Next on the list of no-nos is being sued. Unfortunately, becoming an overnight millionaire means becoming a high-profile target for litigious individuals. These can include former business partners or ex-wives. You do have one advantage, however, in that you can afford to hire lawyers who may end up doing more harm than good. If you hire a top-tier law firm and pay them $2,600 an hour, you may end up paying more in legal expenses than you do in settlements in the long term. There is also the issue of overconsumption, which at first glance seems to be the most common mistake individuals make due to the abundance of expensive goods available. However, as previously mentioned, it is extremely difficult to spend money on such a large scale. While most cars gain in value over time, one German millionaire noted that money tends to follow those who have it. If he purchased a limited edition Ferrari, it would really demand a premium every year among collectors. The vacation houses he bought have all grown in value, and his business planes can be written off as business expenses, and his super yacht ends up making a profit by running charter guests while he is not on board. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can really rent out yachts like this one via charter brokerages via Airbnb. The weekly rent for this particular yacht was set at roughly $500,000, demonstrating that you can still spend your way into bankruptcy, albeit with much effort. Unless you have a satisfied life and all that jazz, you can't buy goods. you can only buy experiences that have no lasting value. Now that we know what not to do, it's time to set out a game plan for unexpected millions. The first step is to keep everything under wraps for as long as possible, even if you're a lottery winner. If your lottery doesn't allow for an anonymous winner, you can hire a lawyer to pick up the prize for you. Disguise up to collect your reward, which is a lot easier to pull off nowadays. If you made your money in a more conventional way, such as through a wager on Robinhood rather than your state lottery, avoid boasting about your large winnings to relatives and friends. Confident that no one will take you seriously or trace the account back to you, it's fine to brag anonymously online. Before you may fall into any of these three pits, you have to avoid attracting unwanted attention. The second step is to obtain a good lawyer to help you with your case. As a result of their extensive experience in protecting clients' assets, law firms that specialize in such matters as lottery winners have developed a series of procedures that assure you and your money are adequately safeguarded. Set up a company and trust structures that legally isolates you from your money. You hear a lot about trust funds because trusts are legal entities that can hold assets like a pile of cash, or more sophisticated and old assets like shares in a corporation that itself owns a pile of cash. Two key individuals, as recommended by the lawyers in Step 2, are likely to be involved in establishing this form of trust. There is a trustee and a beneficiary, both of whom can be the same individual, because you have control and benefit from the trust's wealth. One reason for including a corporation on top of the trust fund is understandable, because they must legally contribute a big percentage of their assets each year. Trust funds are great, but they can't keep their money for very long. If the trustees, the ones who actually make the decisions in the trust, were to hold out on paying them any money, the drawback for you would be that if you wind up with a lot of money in your trust fund, that might easily be taken from you by a lawsuit. Therefore, this regulation isn't ideal for you. While if you send the money to a firm that happens to be owned by the trust, the company can decide whether or not to pay the dividends this year. And if so, the amount, you get compensated like every affluent person ever, and you discover how trust funds work as a result of your journey here. It's time to put the money you've saved to good use in Step 4. So go out and pick some solid investments. Nothing too crazy. Remember that you're here to keep your money safe, not make it double in a day. Investing in stocks does not fall under the definition of gambling. No matter how much money you have, you can't double it in a day. When it comes to creating a budget that you can live on permanently, the prevailing thinking is that this budget should be anywhere between 2% and 5% of your entire invested assets. Now that you've worked with elites on this channel before, it's your chance to join them. To do so, locate a country where you can live comfortably without being burdened by one of those awful taxes. Depending on who you ask, and don't worry if these nations sound a little cramped, you only need to live there for 6 months and 1 day out of the year to avoid these taxes, and then you are free to travel around the world with your money, which is now safe, efficient, and nearly limitless. Most individuals watching this video assume that making $1 million is the first step toward building a fortune, and a fantastic method to do it is by starting a company like that of Steve Jobs, who made billions of dollars after founding the most valuable corporation in history. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Have a good one.